huge welcome to everyone who's joined us for this session. This is our 5th session of the office hours, and it is our first session of 2024. And it also is our first session with Edu. Edu.
Hi, everyone.
Thanks for joining us. Could you maybe give a really short introduction about yourself?
Sure. Yeah, I'm Edu from the platform enablement team here at Dynatrace. I've been with Dynatrace for over 2 years now, and at the platform enablement team for over 1 year. And this is my first office hours, as Penny just said. I'm kind of nervous, but hopefully I can manage.
Absolutely. I'm sure you're going to be absolutely fine. You've got me.
Yeah.
Just so everyone remembers, my name is Penny. I'm also on Edu's team. You've seen me before in many office hours, but just for those who haven't been here before. Anyway, let's get started. So what can we expect in today's session? So for those who are new here, you've got basically this session is for you. It's for you where you can ask any questions that you need to ask about custom app development. You can go ahead and ask your questions using the Zoom Q&A tool. You can find that in the control panel. So if you go to the control panel in Zoom's, hit Q&A, there you can ask your questions. We will try to get round to all of your questions that we can. If we are unable to answer your question in today's session, we'll try and follow up with you thereafter today's session. But we do also have some other things in today's session. So today's session's agenda is we'll do a 2023 recap. We'll also check out what's new in custom app development. And then we'll open up to the Q&A session. And of course, wrap up with a few sort of resources for you that are useful for your custom app development. Cool. So without further ado, let's get into the 2023 recap. Now, we had a pretty big year in 2023 because actually Dynatrace Apps went live in February. So that's a multitude of new platform features were released from Grail to App Engine and to many different SDKs. So we have a lot to celebrate. We also launched our new developers forum. That was to support everyone here. So you could go there, answer your questions right there in the forum and get live answers from the community and from us as well. We've actually gathered over 450 posts up to date. So this has been a really active community, and we're super excited to see how it keeps being so active in 2024. We also launched our developers newsletter, and we'll be checking that out as well today. So don't worry if that sounds new to you, you'll get to see it today in today's office hours. We also released a new tutorial back in February, and some good news, there will be a new version of the tutorial coming out this year in 2024. We've also published over 16 DQL videos, so Dynatrace query language videos for those who are unfamiliar with DQL. And these videos are to help you get to know the different commands within DQL and different use cases. So thanks to Cindy and Inder on our team who have put a huge effort into making those videos available for you. Also, we launched our office hours. So thank you all for being here because this is now our 5th, as I think I've said, and we're super excited to see what this year brings. So just a few things to round up. So what is new? So on the what's new section, what we typically do here is we go and have a look at our developers newsletter. So as I said, for anyone who's not familiar with this, our developers newsletter, you can find here within our Dynatrace community under developer blog. Here you'll find different sort of announcements, different events, along with lots of information. But what we will cover today is we will cover the release highlights for app developers. So some things that have maybe changed or are new that affect you as app developers. So the first one I would like to cover is that we have a new component called the chip group. Now, this chip group makes it easy to group multiple chips into one container, as you can see here in these examples. Now, use cases for this particular component could be for tagging different graphs or tables, or for filtering. So that's a nice component that you can make use in your apps now. Then another feature that we have actually is just basically an update, which is the histogram subcomponent x-axis now supports log scale in addition to the linear scale. Now, for those not familiar with what I'm talking about, this is just this histogram chart here that's changed ever so slightly. And the final update that I want to pin out today is about the filter bar. So this is the filter bar. And basically, the default pin state prop of the filter bar item was removed from the item subcomponent. You can now set up the default pin state as a configured object on the filter bar component itself. So not a huge change, but just a slight change of where it is. So just making sure that you guys are aware of that. And that's all that's new in terms of getting some extra updates. Although, one big announcement I would like to make, and coming from Edu and myself as well, so it's a nice announcement for me to be making, is we have Inside Dynatrace Apps episode on YouTube. These are basically informational videos for helping you building apps. Perhaps, Edu, you would like to explain what our first episode is on, given that you made it?
Absolutely. Well, you have it on screen. It's basically four tips for developing Dynatrace apps, and these are issues that you might face when you're starting your Dynatrace app development journey. And this video is really insightful. It shows you all the pitfalls, or at least the main pitfalls that you may face and how to solve them. The solutions are really easy and really simple, but it may be a bit frustrating to face them just for the first time. So go ahead to our brand new YouTube playlist and check it out.
And if you like it, please leave us a message in the comments or give us a like. You know, never goes amiss. Great. So those are all of the sort of announcements that I have for you today. And I just want to remind you again, this is a session for you guys. So if you've got any questions, please make sure that you be asking them in the Zoom's Q&A channel. It's open. There's no question too small or too big. We will try and face it. And as we always do, have prepared some questions already. But for that session, I will pass over to Edu. So Edu, if I'm going to stop screen sharing and just allow you to take over, okay?
Sure. Okay, you should see my screen now, right?
Yes, we can see your screen.
Great. So we actually have one question from before. Chas Horn is asking when the new tutorial will be released. We don't have a definitive date yet. It's in the works. We're putting a lot of effort into it. And only thing I can say is not more than 2 months, maybe, from now. Please
And
remember.
just,
Yeah,
I think
go
as
ahead.
well, just to add to that, because Chaswan wasn't exactly very clear on which video that he meant. So if he was regarding to the tutorial, yeah, it will be coming. Yeah, he was regarding the tutorial. But I was just going to say for any other videos in terms of DQL or Inside Dynatrace Apps, which are other series that we have running, we will be uploading videos regularly as different updates come out. So there's no cadence so far for each of those.
Yep.
Perhaps, Edu, should we start off with one of our own questions that we've got from our own community so that we
Sure.
can have a look into one of those whilst we allow the audience some time to think of some questions and put them into the Q&A Zoom?
Yep, absolutely. So again, as in the previous office hours, we have some questions from the developer forum. This one is regarding how to get the local tenant URL in JavaScript, specifically in workflows. And the answer is super simple. We can check it here. From the JavaScript action in workflows, you will have access to this global this.environment URL variable, which, as expected, allows you to get the environment URL you're in. Now, it's important to note that this only works in the JavaScript action so far. So that's the only point where you can get access to the environment URL. Very simple on that side. The next one, this one is interesting. Bill here was trying a local app development with logging in with multiple users, and he was having some inconsistencies regarding permissions between what he expected one user to have versus the other. The issue is, as Cine here answered, that when you're working locally, you first log in via SSO via the local dev server, or the Dynatrace App Toolkit rather. And then every further requests from your app, from your local app, are proxied through the development server, which holds the initial credentials for the user that authenticated. So if you open a new browser and log in as a different user, again, the request will go through the development server, which holds the credentials of the initial user. We have created a simple diagram here to represent this flow, let's say. So when you initially run npm start, as you all know, the Dynatrace App Toolkit first goes through SSO and registers with a specific user. Let's call him Joe, right? Then Joe opens the application locally on their machine, and every request they do, it's proxied through the development server as, again, the same user, Joe. Let's say he opens a new browser as Sally, they log in. In this case, the requests are still going through the development server where Joe's credentials are stored, and they reach the final API with the credentials of the initial user, if that makes sense.
It does
Cool.
make sense, Edu. Thanks
Nice.
for the explicit diagram.
Yeah. We have a question. Sure, Chas. I'm not sure if it's related, but I guess we can share it somehow, Penny, the diagram.
Yeah, so just to give to the audience what's happening here. So Chaz is asking whether he could have a copy of this diagram because he's getting an SSO URL error while running npm run start. As Edu said, he's not sure if this could be the exact error that's happening for you. It would be more interesting to find out what you're trying to do or what error you're getting. Is that right, Edu?
Yeah, absolutely. I will encourage you to go ask in the developer forum. I'm sure there will be someone there that will be able to help you with your specific error.
Yeah, or if you want us to. Ooh,
That's interesting. Yeah. Well,
So,
maybe I could draw my wild card here. Cine, do you have any recommendations for these cases?
Yeah, so we have observed that some company firewalls are blocking or blocking either the request from the dev server or proxying or doing some, let's say, creative stuff with the SSOs. And yeah, there are some cases where actually nothing we can do if the company firewall is blocking it, or if SSO is messing up with the request from the dev server when it tries to authenticate against the Dynatrace cluster.
Yeah, makes sense. Unfortunately, there's not a lot we can do on that front.
And the only thing we have in place is so if you have to use a proxy, there's a proxy parameter when starting the dev server, so you can configure a proxy if the request needs to be proxied, right? So this is what we offer from the tooling side. So in case you need a proxy for accessing Dynatrace, you can configure it also on the dev server.
Right. Cool. Thanks, Cine. And thanks, Jazz. Hopefully that answers your question. You can browse through the Dynatrace App Toolkit documentation in the developer portal, and for sure you will find there what you need to proxy, to add the proxy to the development server.
I hope that helps you with your answer, Chaz. Feel free to message again if there is anything we need to follow up on.
All right. In the meantime, let's quickly check the last question that we have prepared for today. And this one is regarding to having a big data table in your application. So as you know, sometimes we work with a lot of, in this case, users or logs or whatever, and you really want to represent it in a table, but there's way too many rows, so the application could be super, super slow. The solution in this case is, again, very simple. We're striving for simplicity here in all of the questions and answers. And you just need to add a heights property to the data table. You can check the documentation by yourselves. And with this in place, the data table internally will add content virtualization, meaning that it will only render the rows that are visible in the heights that you define for the data table. And this is super useful. So you don't overload your application with loads of unnecessary renderings.
I've also just added a quick link to the data table in the chat. So if anyone did want a link to that documentation that we have there, you can get it from there and just take a look yourselves to see that.
Yep, thank you.
Now, just a reminder to the audience, those are all of the questions that we have actually prepared for you today. So if you do have any questions or burning desires that you want to be solved, or you want Edu and me to take a go at answering, then please put them into the Q&A forum, and we will try our best to answer them.
I don't see anything for now.
Not as now, so maybe, yeah, sure. So we'll give everyone a couple of minutes just to breathe over that. But whilst I give you a couple of minutes, I can help you lead you to some resources. So some resources for you in terms of custom app development. We have the developer Q&A forum. So on our Q&A forum, you can ask whatever questions you want, and the community can try and help answer you. And also we are taking a watchful eye. So we regularly check it, and we regularly make sure that all your questions are being answered on there, whether by the community or by us ourselves. And of course, you have the Dynatrace developer docs, which Edu has kindly mentioned, and I was showing some pages of that earlier. So there you should be able to get different ideas of sample apps. There's code recipes in there that gives you inspiration, and of course, any documentation that you need as well for developing apps. And without fail, there will be the next office hours on Tuesday, February the 13th at 3:30 p.m. Usual time, usual place, it will be here. So, yep, if your burning desire questions can wait till then you can meet us in the next office hours. I don't see any other questions, so it might be one of those slow burning Januaries. So we can probably wrap it up short. Thank you, Edu, for hosting today. I appreciate you coming to join me. And
thank you.
We will see you next time.
Yep. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye. Well, we have one last. It's a thank you message. All right. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you too, Chaz. Ciao.